So today I'm here with Thando Mangaliso of SunGoddess Fashion House, and we met, what? Almost 20 years ago.
This is 20 years ago, 2003. This is 20 years ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, unbelievable.
And did you think we'd still be in contact after such a long time?
I believe so. Remember, you are one of the foundation members of the South African fashion fraternity. You know? As much as we love working with young people, what I found is that it's so nice to maybe take a break, but reconnect and work with people who are as experienced as yourself.
Yes.
And more importantly, delivering on the job. That's what it's about.
Yes.
So for sure, I'm happy to see you again.
Amazing.
Different circumstances, and much respect to you.
Thank you so much. Likewise. So let's talk about delivering on the job, since you went straight there.
Yeah.
So I have a theory that delivering on the job is really the key to longevity in surviving in South African, both the entrepreneurship and the fashion space. I take it you feel the same way?
No, when we got into this industry, it was still in its infancy. People had never seen South African fashion. We were offering a homegrown, authentic lifestyle experience, and delivering on the fashion was a major thing for us. So you think of the quality of the clothes. Our clothes were not only good quality, but they were priced higher, in that you had to educate the consumer and tell them that, listen, they come into the shop, they're like, no man, this skirt is 1,500. I can go to Jet and get a skirt for 150. And you have to explain that, listen, Jet make 300,000 of these things. They're made in China. Our work has a lot more passion in it. It's got a lot more work in it as well, in terms of the embellishment as well. So that was part of the whole thing. And just delivering and getting the South African consumer to be on our side. There's a whole educational system. And not only for ourselves, but in every sphere, whether it's music, food, things that are made locally will be a bit more expensive.
Yes.
They are South African and they're authentic. Go anywhere in the world,
I remember going into a factory in 2005, and I'd get very excited just standing like in the entranceway and seeing all the stuff come through and all the stuff in your factory. And it was always this hive of activity. And what I loved about it was that the whole room was just full of artisans.
Yeah.
So there'd be people sewing, there'd be people beading. I'd be coming back and forth with the printed and dyed stuff. And your work was just so layered and beautifully thought out. And it was really interesting because life's funny. We don't know we're in a golden age until it's behind us. Because we were working so hard and we were hustling so hard to do it. And I look back now and I realize it was such a magical time. I almost wish we could have taken a little bit more time to just slow it down and experience it. Because I had no idea back then that it would just be this little window in time, and that our careers would move so fast that it would happen for a couple of years and then never again. So I found that a really, really interesting part of the experience.
I think you're very correct in saying that it was a golden era. South Africa was going through a wonderful transition in that identity was the main thing now. What does it mean to be South African? How do we dress? I think also Mr. Mbeki being at the helm, talking about the South African and African Renaissance, that really drove the agenda. There was one agenda, it was South African identity, and it filtered through. I mean, you look at, there were certain sections of magazines, whether it be Drum or True Love, that had an ethnic page, and how do we grow that?
Yes.
I think in South Africa, since 2009, we sort of lost our way in terms of what identity is. I mean, you tell us, where does African fashion feature, and more importantly, where does authentic South African fashion feature? And I think for us, that's where the potential lies.
So why do you feel that it lost its way in 2009? What happened there?
I think there was just a different focus. we weren't confident as South Africans. And, you know, you look at how Nigerian culture is playing into South Africa. You look at how young designers do not want to use shweshwe as much as they want to use Ankara, which is Ghanaian. Yes. So they're going more global, but you need a South African aesthetic. And what we do is, no matter what is happening in the industry, if we try to go Ankara, our clients will not respond.
Yes.
And that's our niche.
Yes.
It's what makes us authentic.
Yes.
And you've got to stick to what you're good at. And we are good at South African inspired design. So in whatever we do, you can link it back to a culture, you can link it back to a lifestyle, and you can link it back to what South Africans are about, basically.
Oh, I so love that you've stuck to local. It's lekker.
No,
I love that. I love
our
that.
Our clients don't let us go.
Yes.
Once we try anything, I mean, there are moments where you think, okay, hold on a second. You know, everyone is doing this, and you try. You know, it started with us. I think we tried to do less embellishment because it costs more to embellish, but they'll let you know. They'll let you where the buttons, you know, especially the older clients. They'll come in and it's like, okay, guys, where's the rig rag? Where are the lines? Where's the fabric?
Yes.
You know, so we stick to our guns, and even internationally, you know, like people are looking for a different experience. They're looking for a different way of doing things. And how do you show people, if you're from America, that you were in South Africa? You've got to bring something back from South Africa.
Yes.
And as a result, I mean, you look at a lot of the designers going overseas. Lots of people go overseas. Yes. But because they are not authentic in what they're doing,
yes,
and they're trying to be more global, there is no impact coming from South Africa. Nobody's asking the question about South Africa.
Yes.
You know, I'll give you a simple example. There's a group from KwaZulu-Natal, from Ladysmith, called Ladysmith Black Mambazo.
Yes.
Their story is incredible, you know, because when Paul Simon met them, he realized and recognized that this is something different.
Yes.
And the rest is history.
Yes.
You know, every 2-3 years, they win a Grammy. Why? Because they're telling stories from KZN, which come from Ladysmith Black Mambazo.
Yes.
It's not a Durban thing.
Yes.
It's not a Cape Town thing. It's from Ladysmith.
Yes. Yes.
And once you start expressing your true authenticity,
yes,
you win.
I love that so much. You're giving me goosebumps. So, where do you find your wellspring of authenticity for yourself?
Well, for me, it's in my culture. Okay. First and foremost, I'm Xhosa. And once you express that, whether it's in food, whether it's in clothing, and that's why we chose clothes. Clothes are a great communicator, you know.
Yes.
Clothes have got high impact. And through the clothing, we're able to express who we are. And we don't have to, I wouldn't say lie or make up a story. Yes. You know, once you're in your authenticity, it's done.
Yes.
Like I say, you think of Chinese people when they come into anywhere in the world. You know, you go, classic case example, a Chinese guy comes to Brooklyn, the first thing he's going to do is, he's going to serve you dim sum. He's going to give you steamed rice. He's going to burn incense, and. You look at what has happened to Indian cinematography, you know, with Bollywood. They just stuck to their guns. And, you know, in cinemas and throughout, you know, you think of Indian restaurants, it's endless. And we must do the same as South Africans as well.
Do you feel young up-and-coming designers should focus on local heritage rather than trying to globalize?
I think for you to globalize, there's a saying that we've got here at SunGoddess called local tradition, global trend, where something is so South African, it's so nationalistic in its roots and inspiration, it becomes a global trend.
I love that.
You see? But it's easier said than done. Yes. So what I was going to say to young designers is that this thing is generational. Yes. You know, we started it, they've got to take it to the next level. Yes. You know, if you want to be in the conversation, that's what it's got to be about. Yes. Yes. I was very fortunate to study in Paris, and I went to private school. I ride horses, I hunt, I'm a dandy. Okay. the one thing I always found is that they were always interested in who I was.
Yes.
So they're like, what is South African music?
Yes.
What is South African food? And I did not know these things, you know?
Yes.
And as the conversation started to develop, I realized that as much as I'm in business school to understand how the EU works, I saw myself living in Europe. For me to make an impact in the world, I've got to come as myself. You know, so if we are eating, I've got to bring South African food. If we are watching a film,
Yes.
I've got to think of the South African angle.
Yes.
So young people in the arts have to have something authentic. You know, you look at the Wakanda movie. Why was Wakanda movie? What's the movie called again? The Wakanda movie.
Black Panther.
Black Panther. Why was Black Panther so? Because people were seeing something they'd never seen before,
Yes.
based on something. Okay, yes, it's a bit global and everything, but people wanted to see an action hero that looked like them.
Yes. Yes.
My Uncle John always tells the story of how he was given a script, and then there were moments where he had to speak an African language, and they just gave him gibberish, and he was like, "Hold on a second, what is this?" It's like, "It's just something that you can say." It's like, "But I don't understand this."
Yes.
And they were like, "Okay, we'll say it in your language."
Yes.
And as soon as he started speaking in Xhosa,
Yes.
it just gave it that authentic
Yes.
feel, you know.
Yes. Yes.
So it's in those moments that we must recognize ourselves. And they count as people. Think of Hugh Masekela
Okay.
and the impact that he's made on music.
Yes.
You know, you think of Fela Kuti.
Yes.
You know, it was a unique contribution, but that contribution could add to what was going on.
Yes.
And that's what people want. So Miriam Makeba, there you go. You know, in the height of her career, when she was exiled, she just kept on telling the South African story.
Yes. Yes.
And her career was amazing. You know,
Yes.
unappreciated in South Africa, but adored and revered overseas.
Yes. So why do you think that we so often see that unappreciated at home and adored overseas?
It's a low self-esteem.
Okay.
We do not believe in ourselves.
Okay.
We want someone else to tell the story. We want someone else to express the story.
Yes.
And once we express the story, we sort of undermine our own story.
Yes.
I mean, this week, the great Lucas Radebe, captain of Leeds, they never won the Premiership, but for like about 8 years in a row, they were like number 2 and number 5. And this week, Leeds have been nowhere in the last 15 years. And they needed something to hold on to, and they thought to themselves, no, let's bring the captain over. And the whole stadium, there was a moment where, you know, people were clapping for him. He was just adored and revered. I mean, Lucas can walk in here and we'll be like, ooh.
Yes.
But he walks in anywhere in Leeds. He doesn't have to pay for his drinks. He's just a hero. He's a god, so to speak.
Yes.
So, you know, that's what we need to do. We need to take the people that we have and I think enhance them.
Yes.
Get them to inspire the next generation.
Yes, yes.
A guy from the dusty streets of Soweto, I remember when he went over, it was my first year in England, and I thought, okay. And with hard work, determination, and self-belief,
Yes.
he became a martyr.
Yes.
You know, no, martyr, no, that's the wrong word, sorry. A legend, a living legend. My English runs away with me.
So, I love your passion for local. I love your passion for saying that we should show up as we are. I love that you've got such a belief that the youth should do the same. So the self-esteem thing is quite a tough one, especially in our country, where self-esteem hasn't really been something that anybody's grown. Where do you think we should begin?
I think it starts from day one at school.
Okay.
You know, there should be a clear agenda of who you are
Yes.
and what your mission and purpose in life is.
Yes.
You know, what does it mean to be South African?
Yes.
What is our agenda?
Yes.
You know, what is our competitive advantage? How do we use that so that we can gain further progress across the board? It can't only be mining and tourism and all those things that are great contributors to the economy, but the creators are what take society forward.
Yes.
You know, so you look at kung fu movies, where they come from and what they have become.
Yes.
Man like Jackie Chan.
Yes.
You know, it was a bit of a joke, but they've taken it seriously and they've taken over the world.
Yes. Yes.
Jackie Chan's movies, the only reason why, you know, Hollywood stepped in and told Jackie Chan, let's do the movies in English. It wasn't about the West. It was about the numbers in the East. When that thing gets dubbed into Chinese, it's a different ballgame.
Yes.
A guy like Chris Tucker, I mean, he's very famous, and
Yes.
he did the movies with Jackie Chan, but his fame is that much more in China.
Yes.
You know, as a result of that cross-cultural reference and the movies being dubbed in Chinese as well. So
Yes.
I think if we have that single agenda, like you wake up every day, what is your mission as a South African? I think a lot of, you know, you look at countries like France and Norway, there's an agenda.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and that's it. I'm always amazed at the story of Champagne. I went to Champagne, and if you think of where Champagne was 30 years ago, it was nowhere.
Yes.
And how when the hip hop guys came, took the champagne, started pouring it over everyone, the French also remembered who they were.
Yes. Yes.
And how that narration now has made Champagne into something else, along with Louis Vuitton and Chanel and it's French culture. The guys like everyone wants to be like us.
I love that so much. That's
You know, so if we can do the same, we
Yes.
can do the same. It's as
Yes.
simple as that. You know?
Yes. Yes. I love that. Thank you so much. You've shared so many inspiring insights with us today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it so very much. It was so lovely to get an insight into your mind,
Yes.
the mind behind the brand. Thank you so much for sharing us with us today.
No, thank you. And I think for me, as a businessman now, you know, I'm the boss of all bosses. I've always been a boss. I'm a third generation boss. You need to pivot, but more importantly, stay inspired.
Yes.
And this interview that I did, I think that's going to happen to me now. Not that I'm in limbo, but I just need that fire. You know,
Yeah.
you remember who you are.
Yes.
I don't have to introduce myself in many instances when I walk into a room. Everybody
Yes.
knows who I am. It's just now for me to take charge and just gain that confidence again.
Yes. Yes.
After COVID, I think after COVID, we all got a bit complacent. And not complacent, I think it was a very difficult time. And people need inspiration. Business is difficult and it doesn't take any prisoners. And it's not for everyone as well.
It doesn't. I'm so pleased that you're remembering who you are,
Yeah.
and you're helping me to remember who I am,
Definitely.
especially, and where I've been, and the road we've walked together
Yeah.
so far. It's been
Definitely.
amazing.
And I think as business people, we mustn't be hard on ourselves. Let's just keep going. Yeah?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and much respect to you as well.
Thank you.
You're the best at what you do. And we always try to associate with the best people in the business.
Thank you so much
Well,
for
thank you.
co-creating value with me today.